Hey there, I stream every Friday. Now you might have missed that, but don't worry, because the highlight channel for it is finally here. So go check it out now, because new videos will be uploaded there every week. Now when the very first Super Mario Bros. Game was made, its creator had a lot of ideas on what to include in this title. Sadly enough, it didn't fit on the cartridge, but as time went on, more and more of Miyamoto's plans became reality. And one of those was special enemy types, which we have seen hundreds of throughout the series. They all have quite unique and special roles, so today we will decide which ones are the best and most memorable.
Dr. Wowie.
Number 8. From the very start of the series, Miyamoto had the chance to include one elite enemy that was more dangerous than all the others combined. The Hammer Bros. They are Koopas that stand upright and throw hammers at you. These special turtles have bigger shells than the normal type and wear helmets for protection. They are usually encountered in pairs, attacking Mario by tossing hammers and jumping between rows of brick blocks. Now, they were originally designed by Kazuaki Morita, who was one of the few to work on the game and many others after. Now, how this enemy is designed and functions in the platforming world of Super Mario is actually quite genius. You run from left to right and dodge things mostly by jumping. And all of this is countered extremely well by tossing hammers. The arc of the throw and the frequency of the attack makes it tough to break through. This is what makes them such a good enemy. Its design is really clever and completely built around the style of gameplay. So yeah, they deserve to be Bowser's elite. Number 7. Now, the second game in the series is considered to be a bit of a weird one and very different from the first and later titles. However, while it was odd as heck and basically a Mario port of Yomokoyu Doku Doku Panic, it still has one enemy that I like a lot and is quite special. Because the Phantos create a scenario that no other enemy in the entire series even tries to pull off. They are large, seemingly living masks that can often be found guarding various treasures, most often keys. Originally, Phantos sported a very solemn demeanor in Yomokoyu Doku Doku Panic, while in Super Mario Bros. 2, he was given an evil grin. Now, when you try to take its key, it will come alive, turn evil, chase you, and try to take you out. So it kind of turns into a classic chase scene, which works extremely well with the platforming gameplay of Super Mario. You can run fast, jump, dodge, and more, all while this haunted mask flies through the air and tries to get you. It creates some excitement and changes things, which is always a good thing. Number 6. Now, while Super Mario is known for its jumping and running on land, there are also some underwater sections. And here we can see one big enemy that tries to get you on both land and in the water, the Boss Bass. This is a giant Cheep that often patrols the surface of the water and is also found underwater. When you encounter them on land, they will try to leap out and eat Mario if he gets too close. It defeats Mario instantly in one gulp regardless of his form, even if he's a statue, so it's certainly dangerous. In both of the stages from Super Mario Bros. 3 where it's seen, the water level rises and sinks, making Mario an easy target. Now, there are a lot of things that can defeat it, for example blocks, shells, hammers, fireballs, Starmans, and way more. However, it always comes back. While his passive form, Big Bertha, is found swimming back and forth underwater, carrying baby Cheeps in her mouth, and occasionally letting them out. Now, it's interesting to see that it has both an aggressive form and a more calmed down version. On land, it will give you a bit of a Jaws scenario and feeling, similar to the Georgs from the Wind Waker that I mentioned in another video. Be sure to check that out, I will link it in the upper right corner. This creates some excitement in the otherwise mundane levels where there's no real pressure, and making him so powerful adds to that even more. But in the water, it doesn't really go for you, but just fills the screen with enemies that you need to deal with, which fits better with the underwater movement speed and options. You're nowhere near as fast or agile after all. So really, in both instances, it's a great enemy to take on and well balanced. Number 5. Now, most people think enemies are just there to pose a threat and take out the hero of the game. However, sometimes they can also be used in clever ways to make the platforming experience even better. And the Parabeetle is a great example of this. They act as platforms for Mario and the others to jump on to get across the level. This allows you to traverse air levels and makes them one of the very few enemies that cannot be defeated by jumping on them. Jumping on the Parabeetle will slightly lower it, though it will gradually rise upwards again, somewhat making a zigzag. If players jump on 8 Parabeetles subsequently without touching the ground, a 1-up mushroom falls from the sky, but that's not with all games. In levels where they appear, you will have to use them to jump from one to another, going further or even up. A great example of this is the level Flight of the Parabeetles, and mamma mia, this is a fun twist. For once, a living thing in the world could be used in your advantage, and also in such a way that it just fits with the level. You even get rewarded for using them by getting 1-ups or even finding secrets at the end of the ride. So clearly a great enemy that just fits perfectly in Super Mario. Number 4. We all know what a Koopa Troopa is. You know, the little turtles that Mario torments again and again because they're walking towards him. However, some of them are done with being treated like dirt at some point, and so they will fight back. They are known as Kamikaze Koopa, who are only seen in Super Mario World. You will only ever see one when a yellow Beach Koopa climbs into an empty Koopa shell of any color. After this, it becomes nearly invincible in its flashing shell, thus becoming a Kamikaze Koopa. He will attempt to hit Mario or Luigi by spinning around in a shell and dashing towards them, and it's impossible to separate the Beach Koopa from the shell. Only a Yoshi, a spin jump, or a superstar can defeat them. And if any Yoshi eats one, it will obtain all 3 shell abilities, which is quite a cool bonus. The great traits of this enemy are mostly the sudden shift it does and the reward you can get from it. Almost no one expected that the Koopas would be able to do something like this. Normally they don't do a whole lot after all, and the fact that their shell can be used to power up your Yoshi to levels never seen before is also a great reward for creating and defeating this enemy. It's also quite interesting to see that Nintendo actually put this in the game, a Koopa Troopa that would fight back after losing first. I'm quite sure that the shock and surprise it creates for the player is a big reason why it's in the game. Number 3. Real spooky scary skeletons are sadly enough not seen in the Super Mario series. All we got was the dry versions. But luckily enough we have the Boos, which are at least fully a ghost. And they also have one special type that works really well, the Boo Buddy Swarm. They are found in Super Mario World, and more specifically the Donut Ghost House and the Forest Ghost House. Usually these beings are transparent, which is when they are harmless, but periodically they will turn opaque, which is when they are dangerous and will dive at Mario. They are indestructible, can only be avoided by the player, and are basically everywhere in the building. Now there are a couple of things this enemy group does that really adds to the ghost houses and to the species itself. The fact that such a big swarm of them is hovering over your head and swoops down every now and then creates a tense and menacing effect. It also creates a haunting feeling with tons of ghosts hovering above you and looking at you. Besides that, it also adds a lot of character to them, because they show off all kinds of different facial expressions when floating above you, which is a fun twist. Number 2. Now, remember how I said that the Hammer Bros are amazing? Well, there's another type of them that's even better. The Amazing Flying Hammer Brother, who are found in Super Mario World. He hovers around on a platform composed of 2 grey rotating blocks with a wing on each side that swings back and forth. This enemy tosses hammers from his swooping platform, attempting to attack Mario, and can be defeated by hitting him from below or from the side. Thanks to all of this, the flying version is even more difficult to take out, because he throws hammers constantly and is all over the place. It presents you with a real challenge, and even if you try to ignore it by running past, there's a big chance of being hit. So really, the difficulty and the fact that they made the Hammer Bros an even bigger nightmare is the main reason for me to include them. Number 1. For our absolute winner, we will be looking at one of the most elegant and beautiful enemies who are only seen in water. Dragon Eels, the gigantic sea serpents that make their debut in New Super Mario Bros. U. They attack by chasing the player and can only be defeated with a superstar, and doing so causes it to spit out several coins. However, why would you do that? No really, why? Look how beautiful it is. Come on. Now it just follows the player throughout the underwater course, and it must be avoided the whole time. And throwing fireballs at its head will slow it down, but by throwing them at his body, it will speed it up. The whole time it will circle around you and try to trap you using its whole body, which is an interesting strategy. It limits the player, which could create problems when other enemies are around as well. And the other thing it does is that it will take you out if you're not paying attention to where it's going. Besides that, its beautiful design and size makes it a magnificent beast to look at, which is a huge plus in my book. It's one of the most graceful and best looking monsters seen in the entire franchise, and this combined with its cool strategy certainly makes it a winner.
Before you go, be sure to check out Wily Streams. The best bits of every live stream will end up there, so go check it out.
Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to watch more videos, click those lovely annotations and subscribe and click the bell button. Hella please do it. Do it. Yay.